Hey, this is Dan.
Eric.
And Dr. Aggro.
From GigaBoots.com. Where's Bob?
We ate him and gained his courage.
Wasn't a lot.
That was the worst thing to
you.
pull from. You know?
Well, then you shouldn't have eaten his heart.
Okay.
Why did we do that?
That's a good point.
In retrospect, this was a terrible mistake.
I should have eaten his scalp and gained his Jew curls. Been fabulous.
I wanted to eat his thumbs and gain his ability to ground juggle like a son of a bitch in Tekken. Fucker.
Fuck that character
Low
he
kick,
plays as.
low
What's
kick,
her
low
name?
sweep kick. Oh, Asuka Kazama?
Oh, yeah. Asuka does it, yeah.
She has other moves. She's a good character.
I don't know that she does, because all I ever see is those three.
Ugh.
But in any case, this is episode 14. We've run out of Final Fantasy jokes for the second time in the podcast's history, unless we're going to
There's
make
a Final
the
Fantasy
MMO.
14, and this is the reboot of our podcast. So this is episode 14.
This is actually
a podcast reborn.
Okay, there we go. And then we will... No, then we'll have 15.
We would stop making Final Fantasy jokes, but nothing else has gone this long.
Either I would stop rebooting things.
Well, nothing popular in America.
Well,
Square Enix
Call of
would
Duty,
stop
but they don't
making
number.
things. They
If
did
you count
at one
every
point,
single,
They did 1, 2, 3, 4, and then since they gave 4 the subtitle Modern Warfare, they thought, whatever, the next one we're just going to drop numbers.
Well, they did several offshoots of Medal of Honor, like Heroes and shit like that.
Oh, Medal of Honor? I actually don't know with Medal of Honor.
Oh wait, I was thinking. Wow, it's time to ignore Eric.
Okay. Okay.
Lovely.
That was delightful. So I guess we're going to talk about the games we played since the podcast that was 2 weeks ago. We'll start with Eric. Eric, what have you played?
Nothing.
Okay. Aggro?
I've been playing a lot of 14 of Pokemon.
How's
basically.
14 much the same as the last time, or is there anything we can
I got a Chocobo.
give?
Oh, really?
You got a Chocobo?
I did. I got a Chocobo baby.
Yes, awesome.
I didn't find this out until I got it because I figure I'll hit 20 and I'll buy a mount. No, you hit 20, you sign up with some faction, you grind their currency, then you buy a mount.
Okay, that's...
Then you get to name it.
Yep.
I didn't know that. They sprung that shit on me, and I spent a solid 20 minutes forcefully willing myself to not name it Chocobro.
What's wrong with you? That's perfect.
I can't be that guy.
I can.
Oh my god.
On naming related anecdotes, did you notice Pokemon has sensor stuff built into it? All the stuff. See, in 5th gen, the GTS, Global Trade Station, would prevent you from trading Pokemon that had specific names, like shit, ass.
Right.
And not all of them were curse words. And when we got to 6th gen, they actually made it even more strict and built it straight into the game. You can't name something but.
What?
Yeah. Butts do not exist in the Pokemon universe unless we're talking about Whismur, which has a butthole. And God, does it... It is really unsettling.
I know, I've studied for many hours.
Well, I'm behind him, right? He's my Pokemon, and it just stares into me.
Could you aim it away from me?
Can you just
please,
lean back?
Whisper?
We're going to battle side saddle. It's a new style. New style of battle for the Kalos region. Side saddle battling. Just point that shit somewhere else.
So then it evolves from that to what's next evolution. It scales up.
So an even bigger butthole.
Yes.
To the ass ratio.
For an even bigger Pokemon. And then its 3rd evolution, Explode.
Explode?
Yes, because it's all about yelling, and the idea with the butthole is that it's an intake valve for air, which makes it even worse. So in any case, it gets to Explode, and there are now 2 buttholes, one on each knee.
Nice.
And now you don't envy Professor Oak's job anymore.
No.
Speaking of Oak,
Yes.
found conclusive proof. I've been terrified this whole game that at some point Gary was going to show up and challenge me to a battle.
Yeah, okay, that's fair, because the fucking Viridian Forest is right at the beginning.
Fucking, like I know Red's on that mountain, just being Red, but I think Gary is stalking around the world with his ever-increasingly powerful team of 5. And I finally put that one. I'm like, okay, it's probably not going to happen. I'm just being silly. But then I went into a Pokemon Center, right?
Yeah.
And I talked to some random chick.
Okay.
Talking to random chicks at Pokemon Centers, not only not creepy, the best thing to do in the game.
Of course.
Because she said the famous Professor Oak's grandson recently visited Kalos. And he learned some of the lingo, and he got very good at saying bonjour. But every time he left, he still said, smell you later. Now, every time I go outside, I'm once again terrified that he's going to fucking be there. And I'm going to have to unroll just that phrase that's been sitting in my gut since Gen 1. Just, God damn it, Gary.
I figure at that point the person would have said, yeah, he visited here a while later. We're still recovering. We can't.
All of our bitches are gone.
Relief efforts are ongoing.
It's like the fifth crusade of bitches.
That actually reminded me on Amazon, and I'm not exactly sure how this worked out. You know about that Amazon fanfiction thing? No. Okay, so Kindle Worlds is what it's called, and basically they go to large publishers of fictions in general and say, hey, we have this program where you can monetize fan fiction based on your IP. And then people just sell it to each other, and they have to meet these price points based on how large it is. But you get to monetize it, they get a cut, and we get a cut. Let's do this. Now, this has been a program that's been out since July, right? So I find on Amazon, as I search through everything that is brought up when I search Pokemon, don't judge me, no judgments, and there's two
I never stop judging you.
pieces of fan fiction for sale for $1 each. And I suddenly found my calling. But here's the problem. It wasn't put out through Kindle Worlds. I have no idea how that asshole is still selling Pokemon fan fiction for money on Amazon. And the worst part of all of this is it's not good. Like, it's not...
You just said that fan fiction wasn't good?
Well, no.
No, it's the only one out there.
Okay.
I wish it was a pioneer in what this direction... Because I have no doubt that me and Kyle, locked in a room for like a day, could come up with the most amazing fan fiction series based on Pokemon ever that is just tongue-in-cheek, hilarious meta-narrative. But this asshole...
Dan and Aggro's excellent Pokemon adventure?
Yes, Dan and Aggro's excellent Pokemon adventure. Or Bogus Journey. Bogus Johto.
I don't think the world's ready for Bogus Johto Journey.
Which is why we need to throw it at them. Catch! He goes through the... and maybe this is just me, so we'll get a bit into literary taste here for just a second before I describe the larger issue. You know when somebody sits there and they're like, I know big words. Every single thing is going to be described with the biggest word I know.
Right. You should never use a large word when a diminutive one will suffice.
Right. It's sort of...
What did you just do? What did you just fucking do?
Hey.
I will strangle you.
See, there are layers to the podcast. That layer was for the listener to think I'm too stupid to catch that.
I'm sad it took me a couple seconds to realize what you just did, you motherfucker.
College.
So, in any case, yeah, I'm not saying he uses the largest words to describe all these objects. There's just a huge amount of unnecessary detail and the weirdest things.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like... And this is why he's just straight up recapping the plot from Gold and Silver.
So he's trying to make it interesting with the big words. With
It's like
more detail than is necessary.
he woke up in his bed and his mom came into the room and she is like, you need to go see the professor because of blah de blah. So then he did that and I'm like, holy shit, that is not the point of a Pokemon fan fiction.
Really? I thought I thought it was like super detailed, like he rolled back in his sheets, feeling the discarded skin flecks.
No, see,
all up in the sheets.
See,
I've got that one.
That's
Okay.
okay. Good. That is the point. He missed. He's over detailing things that don't need description, like super mundane stuff, and it's not in that fantastical, romanticized way, like he just did with rolling back into his bed sheets. It really just gets into you haven't brought anything to the table, and you're compensating by over describing every element, because it is just beat for beat. gold and silver story, and I'm just like, this is a travesty. I wanted to read this thing. And here's the most disturbing, deceptive part. It's rated mature.
What?
So I don't know at what point something dies, but the whole thing isn't some tongue-in-cheek, like, because, spoiler alert, for when we figure out how we get to sell our Pokemon fanfiction on Amazon, one of the 3 settings I would go with is, like, for the first chapter, or, yeah, probably just the first chapter, you go with the stereotypical Pokemon intro, and then sort of get into this territory of, like, Pokemon is for kids, I don't really, and then it just turns out the guy's 26 years old and living with his mom, and his mom's desperately trying to get rid of him, so, yeah. So that was one of the 3, and I thought it was going to do something really funny like that, and, like, Gary was 26 years old, fat and ugly, and a loser. Like, because then you get that meta layer of, like, people are still playing Pokemon, and the average Pokemon player is somewhere in their mid-20s, and, you know, everyone's like, Pokemon's for kids. And incorporating that straight into the fiction that's placed in the world, that's hilarious. That's something I would enjoy. This is just, here's beat for beat what happened in Gold and Silver, and then he stole the Pokemon, but then you caught him, and then he had a Pidgey, and you battled his Pidgey? Because if you recall, your rival in Silver is just a fucking shyster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all the other ones are like, yeah, we're gonna, okay, 3rd gen forward, all the other ones are like, yeah, we're gonna learn together and fight each other and we'll both become strong.
like,
Gary fucking Oak's like, ha 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 ha, away on the SS bitches.
Yeah, that's Gary. And then the guy from Silver was just, that motherfucker, wasn't he the one who was like, man, sick Pokemon should be left to die?
Pretty much.
Let's toss Megatron out the back of the space train.
Yeah.
The guy was,
You got
I'm
that.
like, is he the villain? Who's this other asshole? Team what?
I think he's the source of sadness in all of Pokemon. By the way, oh man, what's the name of the investor, the Latino investor in Atlas Shrugged, that they invested in the Mexican mines because...
Francisco Diaconia?
Thank you. Yeah, Gary Oak. That. That's what I was gonna do, and I was like, yes. And then I couldn't find a way to figure that system out, because he's not using Kindle Worlds, but he's selling something that's based on an IP another company owns. This is some weird shit.
Selling fan fiction. Like, on the one hand, I have read some good fan fiction.
Okay,
Eric.
it
exists. It's
I
few
know.
and far between, and it's never where you think it's going to be. It like you walk through the woods and you kick over a rock, and holy shit, what is that?
Is that a golden egg? What?
But
That egg was the cure for cancer.
and I do believe that all this copyright law bullshit, there should be people allowed to write stories in existing intellectual properties.
Yeah.
Like, we need to expand on this. It's a beautiful system. However, in parallel to this, I also have the firmly held belief that all fanfiction authors need to be punished. Because I don't know about you guys, I don't have the time to sift through these assholes and find the few who aren't just half-retarded fuckbags desperately screaming into the internet that they're talented too. And we need
what's
to just,
Mary Sue?
We need to take off and nuke the site from orbit.
Okay, so here's the system I think that works much to the effect of what you were talking about. It's called the Amazon rating system. Let me tell you. I'm trying to remember. Oh yes, the Pokemon strategy guide for X and Y. That system worked very well on warning everyone to not buy that.
Yeah.
There's no Pokedex.
What?
It somehow completely skips over major mechanics like Mega Evolutions. Yeah, it's the most, like...
This is the first time I thought about
Like,
it.
kind of... just so everyone's clear on this, this was a worldwide release. This was the first 3D Pokemon game. They had a lot of shit going on with this. It's rushed. Don't fucking argue with me because you're just not grasping it. This is rushed. This is hard. The X and Y 2 came out, or Black and White 2 came out last year.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories about trying to write strategy guides.
Right. So, simultaneously, the importance of an ancillary product like the strategy guide, which is made by Prima Guides, is pretty low on that priority list. So they're like, we're going to split it into 2. And normally when they do this, the second guide comes out within the week of the game. That shit isn't hitting till January.
Damn.
So they fucked up and no one's getting sales, and that's like half Nintendo. Actually, I would say it's 75% Nintendo's fault, 25 Prima, because if they had really pressured Nintendo, showed them enough sales data,
Yeah, it really sucks.
there could have been a way
Prima
to work
put out
that
a bad
out.
product just makes me sad.
Yeah.
I miss you, Prima. Because I used to always, like, for every Zelda game, I buy the Brady Games guide and the Prima guide. And if you're stuck, you pick up the Brady Games, it gives you a hint. If that doesn't work, you pick up the Prima guide, and it's like, motherfucker, this is how you do this.
Left again, right, press A, you asshole.
Arms reach out of the manual, and they're like, give me your hands. Metal Gear.
The Brady Games guide got bored of how repetitive Zelda dungeons were after a while. And it was like, so, while you light all the empty braziers in this room, take a moment to ponder how futile it is for me to tell you to light all the braziers in a room, the only contents of which are empty braziers. You got fire arrows 20 minutes ago, you know what to do.
Contemplate
So,
the fact that braziers sounds like
light all the
braziers.
braziers in the room.
Like, I remember a Zelda guide that was like telling a story. Like, it was...
Yeah, that
like,
was Majora's Mask.
Oh, yeah, that
Yeah.
one, okay.
It's like all past tense. And then Link did this.
Yeah.
Do this.
Did he? Let's check. He did.
Wow.
Wow. How
Amazing.
insightful.
That was the one where you had to fight that huge bull in that
Yeah.
circular, and it was then like and you gotta like melt the ice with the fire arrows, and then do the whole race thing. The guide was like, you wonder why Link couldn't just take his sword, chip through the ice, pull the mask off, and call it a victory for the forces of good. But
I wonder that as well.
So yeah, Aggro, do you think I should email Amazon and be like, hey, you let this guy publish fan fiction, can I? Because I have some amazing ideas.
do it for
Okay.
for a couple of reasons. One, getting special permission from Amazon to write fan fiction and sell it outside of the special program would be amazing.
Right.
Hopefully, whoever's answering that mail is like, you know what, you got balls, kid. I like you. Approve. The other reason would be if you can get this motherfucker caught and taken down, because as I've stated before, all fan fiction authors deserve to be punished.
Especially this one. If you look at the reviews, yeah. What was annoying is one of the 1-star reviews on the first volume, which I don't think you get to call it a volume when it's 30 pages, but
No, you call it a book.
Call it a novella at 30 pages.
No, it's book one.
Yeah.
It's like all the chapter, like it goes part chapter book.
I think Eric's
The
soul
pretension
is-
of fan fiction is deeper than you know.
You fucking Sith? Are you a fan fiction Sith?
I have a new YouTube series to start.
We need to come up with that linked chain of fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate. Mary suing leads to terrible dialogue.
Oh my God,
terrible
it's
dialogue
self-
leads to...
Fan fiction authorship leads to arrogance. Arrogance leads to self-insertion. Self-insertion leads to Mary Sue.
Mary Sue leads to suffer.
Mary Sue with a dick leads to Gary Stew.
Yes.
God damn it.
Sparkly poo.
Did you play anything? Actually, we didn't actually talk about you and your experience with Pokemon X and Y. How are you enjoying it?
There are some things
On a scale of 1 to Pokemon.
in the older gens that I firmly believe are not meant to be rendered three-dimensionally. Ampharos is one of them. His tiny ovoid arms are not cool looking in 3D.
But sheep, I loved the sheep.
Oh hell yeah,
That's
Marie
awesome.
Be awesome. Pincer, never meant to be 3D. I think drawing it in pixel or ink was pushing it. Because he is a horrible, repressed nightmare creature, devoid of all soul or mercy.
Yeah, let's see. That's kind of how I feel about Pokemon in general.
He always had that rib cage of teeth, right?
Yeah.
But now that it's animated,
It's like
they flutter back and forth
Uh-huh.
like some sort of amoeboid pseudopod.
like Predator sort of like
Oh.
yeah.
I finally had to see an Executor in 3D.
Did you never play Pokemon Stadium?
well, there's a
Like of all the video I've seen of this game, it reminds me most of Pokemon Stadium. Like,
right, yeah, because there's a lot of that uncanny valley of
Did you
we need
use
to make.
Executor in Pokemon Stadium?
No, I've just seen it.
Oh.
The other people, the computer did. They're like, you know what'll make people laugh?
My true childhood friend, computer,
Computer.
CPU.
Computress.
Yeah. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with most gender specific names.
I
They
love
kind of
my computer.
no, that is not happening on the podcast. You will not love your computer on the podcast. Yeah, I don't know. I do get the stadium vibes from this, but the detail with polygon, somewhere between the polygon detail and the textures, or really, I guess it's just the fluidity of the animation. Yeah, they're very creepy.
Yeah, some of them really are.
Very creepy.
I love how this game is. It's very onboarding. It's very like, this is your first Pokemon game? Not a problem. But then it's also chock full of like, you play Gen 1, right? Okay, let's go. It's like, what, fucking Town 2, some asshole's like, hey, I'll trade you a Farfetch'd. I'm like, what? Bro, what?
I'm going to say right here, Farfetch'd is my absolute favorite Pokemon.
Motherfucker's got a leak.
Do you know the story behind the leak?
He killed a guy for it?
No, like, people were eating Farfetch'd, and they ate it the traditional, like, thing they ate it with leeks. So eventually, all Farfetch'd took up leeks and started beating people with them as cosmic revenge.
Holy shit! Yeah, Farfetch'd never seemed like one for fucking around.
No.
I just got to the point in the game, basically, where the enemy team, Team Flare, who, hands down, the most fabulous team in
And
Pokemon
they know
history,
it. They say it.
revealed their ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
What is their ultimate goal?
A spoiler tag.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler warning.
Spoilers
Team
in
Flare.
Pokemon. Okay.
Wants to kill everyone.
Oh.
Everyone.
Oh.
That isn't Team Flare.
Yeah.
Well, that's...
It's weird because it's that mixed with the 1 percentile concept, and the only way you can get into Team Flare is with $5 million. And they say this multiple times, so you know it's not just one remote asshole incident.
Wow.
Like, you can join our group if you got $5 million, bet you don't. And I'm like, man, that guy's just a douche. Then it happens again, and I'm like, is that
Is
that
their
an
mission statement?
institution in your group? That's really creepy.
Now they keep talking about the I got Y. I don't know. I don't know what they talk about in X.
Right.
But they keep talking about how the legendary from Y does this thing where he's immortal because he sucks the souls out of everything.
Okay.
Like, oh, I'm running out of energy. Time to soul steal.
Yep.
And then he sleeps for a while. I'm like, are they going to give me that thing?
Okay.
They know I'm a Pokemon player, right? Are they going to trust me with
You
that?
can't dangle this delicious, delicious carrot in front of me.
It's like, oh no, Lance showed up and he's pissed and he's got 4 Dragonites now. Soul steal.
Oh, look, everyone ever's dead. I'm in X.
I think I'm the Pokemon champion now.
Puts on his scalp.
Yeah.
That hair is the crown. It is
takes it
recently
off, he's
moistened
bald
with Gary's
everywhere.
tears.
Listen here, you'll never be Lance. Lance is 9 feet tall and ripped as shit. His hair's slicked back like a falcon. In X, there's Xerneas. Is theirs.
The deer.
Yes, the deer.
The deer of destiny.
And it brings
Female
life.
Deer. Does it?
It does.
Well, it didn't
And-
bring life to all the Pokemon Evitel killed because they're still dead.
Yep.
Where the fuck were you, Great Forest Spirit?
They probably just did it out of order.
Seriously,
like
I want to cut that
Xerneas,
thing's head off
then-
and like watch it walk through the forest mountains.
Xerneas, then Evitel, and then they're like, wait, we needed it. We did this backwards.
Damn it.
Fuck.
I feel so refreshed. Oh. Evitel's like, everything's particularly powerful today.
Delicious.
I'm almost ready to use the Spirit Bomb. No, I think I'll take a nap.
So yeah, I'm not. I've thrown 84 hours into Pokemon X and Y.
I judge the level of like commitment to a game. I judge it against my own like time for playing Dissidia, which
Right.
is like 170 something hours.
Right. Which that
I had a problem.
Duodecim,
lot
I
of free
did
time.
sink like 80, 90 hours.
I sank
into.
less time in Duodecim because I was just tired at that point.
The mind is willing, but the flesh is weak.
So weak.
I hear all these numbers and I'm like, oh, I play MMOs, never mind.
Yeah. You measure in months.
Yeah.
Years of
I
playtime.
can't remember one of the best functions on World of Warcraft was you could put in a console command and it would give
slash
you
time or something.
yeah, it would give you like in days how long you've been playing.
Steve realized he lost a year of his life over like only 4 or 5.
Yeah, but he got like tier gear, so
So it's okay. I've actually sat down multiple times to write a script for a Pokemon review because I felt
you sit in front of a camera and go, "It's Pokemon."
What
yeah.
do you want?
Hey,
If you want it, you bought it. What do you want?
there's yeah. Let's just say I'm still not done with that part of this process.
Yes.
And it's not that I haven't played enough. I actually collected one whole region's Pokedex. I completed that out.
Yeah.
For those who
You
don't
completed
know,
one of the regions?
there are 3 regions in Kalos that each have their own Pokedex.
Why?
Now, the interesting thing about why?
No, what?
Oh, yeah. So,
They
like,
split into 3 regions so that pussies like Dan can go, "I accomplished something," when really they're only a third of the way done.
now to counter that, there are 150 in like each region.
Yeah.
So that's coming along.
So, which region did you get?
The first one, which is Central.
Central. Oh,
Central.
Did you get Central Mew?
No.
Well, then you're not done.
Central Mew.
Totally. It's gonna
The
be Central Mew, Mountain Mew,
Coastal.
and Coastal Mew.
Oh.
They're all under trucks.
I didn't realize. That explains all the trucks I saw on the way.
Have you seen, like in Lumios, you can visit Three Brothers Trucking Company.
Oh, weird.
Three brothers,
just
3
get-
trucks.
I just get them to pull the trucks.
Yes.
They pick him up, drive away, and I'm like, there you are, Mew, Master Ball. And then for the next 2, I'm like, fuck.
Use Great Balls. They're awesome.
Yeah, Great Balls are, well, they're great.
Better than Ultra Balls.
I tried Great Balls back before they were on the market, and, it seemed a little...
Now, honestly, the thing I've had the most success with when I just needed to catch something was pulling out my Raichu, double teaming over and over till my evasiveness can go up anymore, and waiting him out with a timer ball.
What?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
all right. It's been a while.
Because when
New
you
balls
raise...
are weird.
Yeah, there are a lot of balls.
They've done a good job of not adding an insane amount for the last few games. I'm trying to think about, I think 4th gen was the last gen to add. And it only added like 1 or 2 maybe. But 3rd gen and 2nd gen went fucking crazy.
Fucking what, apricorns?
Fucking apricorns in 2nd gen, and then 3rd gen just added even weirder ones of like dive ball.
Yeah, dive ball, dust ball, net ball, swift ball, repeat ball, luxury ball, premier ball.
Premier ball.
Jesus.
Of course, your
We
standard
had a dive ball
4.
and a net ball.
Yeah. I
Was
think
one
the
for-
net ball
was
is
for
for
bugs.
bug.
What was the one for birds?
Shit. Another goddamn ball.
Right? More fucking balls. Guys, they're called great balls. Come on.
So the
Also, timer balls look awesome.
the effectiveness of these work out, so that way the most effective one is just dust ball. If it's nighttime or you're in a cave, it's the highest ratio.
right.
So that's why you'll always see me running around in the middle of the night.
Come on, Pokemon.
That's why.
Which will be
I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna get you. Squeal for me.
I noticed something. If you...
Yeah.
This has happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm outside
Yeah.
in the game, obviously.
Obviously.
And I suspend it.
Hopefully.
And then I come back. I'll suspend it at like noon. And I'll come back at like 9 at night. I'll pop it open. It'll be day for a fraction of a second. And then pop over to night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
I remember the older games used to wait till you would transition. So if you walked through a door or something, then it would be like, hey, it's this time. Oops.
What was that?
Sorry.
The sun's like, is he gone? Okay. Whew.
People who aren't you in the Pokemon universe, what is happening? Sweet Lord! We spent the past 8 hours at noon getting our skin fried off.
Why was I just standing here waiting for a 10-year-old to challenge me to a Pokemon battle?
This isn't a real job. Speaking of which, the X and Y, I think one of the best things it did establish that there was a terrible war. Which is what every fan of Pokemon who went into what the fuck is with Pokemon eventually arrived at of, like, this is a post-war economy. So Kalos
Yeah,
is
but
the
their
first
terrible
region.
war was like 1,000 years ago.
Right, they're that bad. Their post-war economy just distended
How
out
did
1,000
Lieutenant
years.
Surge become a lieutenant?
I don't think Lieutenant Surge ages.
Yeah.
Oh, he is the once and forever lieutenant.
He is the only guy in fatigues.
Whoa.
Yeah. Shit got real.
Oh, God.
I honestly, I believe the Pokemon universe, when you look at all the divergent designs, and how like, oh, we've discovered all these new species. I believe the Pokemon universe is a nexus of different crazy cartoon animal properties just colliding into one Secret Wars style planet.
I could see that.
Which is why, like, the farther we go on the timeline, the more bleed over we get from the older gens. Because they've been there longer, they've bred more prodigiously, and they're spreading out faster.
I hate throwing wrenches, but
Damn it.
until the second installment in 5th gen, we were going backwards. The whole time.
Oh, timeline? Yeah, because, like,
each
1 and 2...
installment crept backwards, weirdly.
Yeah, I thought 1 and 2 took place at the same time.
You mean white 1 and 2?
No,
Oh, you mean red and silver?
Yeah, red and silver.
No. There's a separation of 20 years, 10 years, something like that.
Silver took place before red?
Yeah, no, actually, sorry. Let me recorrect it. So, 1, 2, directly chronological.
Right.
Everything else backwards.
Okay.
5th gen's second installment went the furthest forward in the timeline. And the reason you know this is because if you go to the Pokemon World Tournament, everyone's there. So about Black and White 2, you know what? Here we go. Here's my review of Pokemon X and Y. It's not as good as Black and White 2. Dun-dun-dun. I'm done. That was easy. Because articulating why is an excruciating process, and I would have to make this 50-minute long video review.
Right, because I remember all the seconds in Black and White 2 where you could rail grind on your skates.
Oh wait, that wasn't a thing.
Fuck you.
And that is a valid.
All of your opinions are now invalid because I like roller skate grinding.
Because it's
I hate
not
opinions.
as radical.
Why can't I be objectively true and hide behind the logo of a website and just tell people that, no, my opinion is fact? I want to do that. Why am I not doing that? But really, though, that's mainly why I haven't been able to hammer out a script. I don't really want to spend 40 to 50 minutes explaining to people why this game is markedly worse than the last one, when all that's going to do is piss them off. And quantifying it as something I've just gradually done over the process of playing it. I don't know. Usually when I get to do a review, it would be like, okay, how can I make this review interesting? I know, fucking weird shit happening in the middle of it. Now it's entertaining on its own. Which Bob never understood for the sake of humor. I'll just point out, Bob's like, but it's a review. Reviews have worth. And I'm like, Bob on the SS bitches! Smell you later!
Fucking 1 foot on a Pidgey soaring through the sky.
And then Aggro, of course, rides a Deoxys off into space. Because that's just what you do. So yeah, that's the main reason I haven't been able to commit to making a video about that, because that sounds exhausting.
Because you're just like,
Let me break this game with over 700 Pokemon in it down to each element of the game's experience, and from there contrast it to other entries in the series. No, that's like
more work than it's worth.
Yeah, because at this point, people know what a Pokemon game is. If you come out and just say, Pokemon is a fun game where you catch Pokemon and battle them against each other. You get to trade with people online and offline.
Are you
locally.
reading off the back of a box?
I'm reading off the back of a game trailer
They don't
script.
put that shit on the box anymore.
No, they don't. Game boxes have gotten very meta, in my opinion. I don't know. Like, they just assume if you're playing video games now, obviously you've been doing that for 20 years.
That you've got the internet.
Yeah, there is the internet, which probably is what people will consult long before the bag of a box.
Yeah, like bag of boxes are good for brick and mortar stores and rental places. One of which isn't really around much anymore.
I know.
Well, then there is the whole market of the mom or grandparent or parent.
They always ask the person who works there, though.
Yeah, I guess so. Well,
because reading.
Sometimes they don't. I've seen it.
Reading is so beyond them.
Well,
Like
they have no grounding for it, really.
They're like, will my kid like this?
Is your kid an idiot?
Yes.
What's your kid also like? Mario. Which one?
Yeah.
Work with me, please.
The more you tell me, the more I can help you. Just
My kid likes Pikachu. Then yes, your kid will love Pokemon.
your kid can catch a team of 6 Pikachus and masturbate all day long.
Man, what am I doing here?
What are you? What are you doing?
I spent like 20 minutes in a BX once. This old lady was asking the clerk, or really just the guy in the electronics section. She wanted the new Zelda game. That's all she knew. Her kid needed the new Zelda game. Motherfucker goes to like hand her Ocarina on the 64. I'm like, what? No, you, go away. You, old lady. I'm paraphrasing from the actual experience. I'm like, what system does your kid own? Does it look like this one? Look closely. Okay, and I pull out like Oracle of Seasons. This is the one he wants.
This is the one everyone wants.
Oracle of Ages was better, though.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I picked up Seasons because I did the time travel shit before.
I same deal here.
I didn't play Ages.
Ages is way more puzzly.
Yeah.
Like they actually,
puzzly.
yeah.
Nice.
It's really
there
nice.
there is a veritable like water temple type dungeon, but it's Jabu Jabu's belly and levels of water. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Ages,
Yes.
Ages is really good.
It
I
is.
know because I owned Seasons as a kid and recently.
I didn't know they were
him
really
and I-
different games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are. They are.
Yeah,
I thought it was Pokemon
Allow me
Syndrome.
to explain the differences. Ages is better. No, wait. And Seasons is worse.
I tried really hard not to buy a Game Boy Color because I still had my original Game Boy. I mean, it was
Right.
the gray one. It was the black one.
Yeah.
So I got, it's like someone had bought me Seasons, and I'm like,
Shit.
no, I can make this work. And you know that little tab that holds in a Game Boy cartridge when you turn it on? Mm-hmm. I cut that shit off with a butter knife. Mm-hmm. It took me an hour to twist and carve that shit out. Finally jammed the color cartridge in, turned it on, and it's like, bing! You really need to only use regular Nintendo. I'm like, you sons of bitches! And then I had to go buy a Game Boy Color.
Yeah, I had seen that before. I think I got an emulator to do it way back in the day.
But no, growing up. Oh, go
And
ahead.
I was just like, who in their right fucking mind would cut off the plastic peg so they could shove this piece of shit in the
now we
original
know.
Game Boy? Thank you, Aggro.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You closed that case. Case closed.
I went back to playing 6 Golden Coins for the rest of that day. Man, that game ruled.
Yes, 6 Golden Coins is one of the best Mario games. Once you take Galaxy and 64 out of the equation.
I haven't played 2. I need to play a lot of Mario.
Yeah.
I haven't played 2 in forever.
We don't have a Mario month, and honestly, doing Castlevania month again will just get weird.
Yeah.
I do want to do it at some level because I need an excuse to play a shitload of Castlevania.
Are we doing Lords of Shadow 2?
No. I'd hope not.
But what is a man?
What is a man to?
Man 2! That don't look like no man.
That's like, I'm now just imagining a Manos Hands of Fate sort of situation there. Man, that would have made Lords of Shadow much better if the Mystery Science Theater crew was just sitting in the foreground, pointing out how goddamn stupid it is. Speaking of which, some critic on the internet, some YouTuber, some reviewer, I don't remember what the video was about, but they're like, one of the things that really bugs me about a video game is when characters don't have proper motivation. And I just sort of fuck that thought. It's if the game is about the plot, that becomes an issue. Because the game can have a stupid plot as long as the mechanics are good enough and it doesn't parade the plot in front of you over and over and over again, pretending that it's the important part. And I guess that's why Lords of Shadow was the first video game I ever played that fucking infuriated me with that, because it's 14 hours of people doing shit that doesn't make sense for any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it.
It was amazing.
Lords of Shadow is the only video game in all of time, in all of video game history, where if you like it, you're a fucking idiot. You are a fucking idiot.
I'm sure it could be said of other games.
No, like, here's the thing. They can like it ironically. They can like games that are just not as good. But this game is fucking... Of course, this is my brain, right? Like, normally, I give everyone a pass on most things. Like, I like this series that's just regurgitating whatever. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I like this series that's all about the story, but it's stupid. Okay, whatever. You guys, whatever. If you like BioShock, think it's amazing, Fetch Quest, don't care. Whatever. Cool. Thumbs up. Lords of Shit makes you an idiot. If you like Lords of Shit, I will punch you in the mouth. No joke. Everyone gets a pass but you.
It really is an unacceptable thing. You really need to have more self-respect than that.
Yeah. It just got re-released on Steam, and I've seen people on NeoGAF change their avatar to Gabriel from that game. And I'm like, oh, if the internet were a different place.
Hey, you can like an art style and not the game.
Oh yeah, I loved the art style in that game. That was
so maybe they just
beautiful.
like the design of Gabriel. Maybe they don't actually like the game. I'm trying to be devil's
I really
advocate
like
here.
the design sensibilities and sense of organization that the National Socialist Party had in Germany in the 30s.
A lot of people did.
I'm not going to put that shit as an avatar.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Right. See, that's sort of the thing. Yeah. That's sort of the thing there.
Is Lords of Shadow a political ideology, though?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
He hasn't played Lords of Shadow. There is a reason for Castlevania Month.
Yay!
It's make Eric play Castlevania games and cry.
No, just Lords of Shadow and more crying.
You really should watch our Let's Play. It's
fucking horrible.
Amazing and awful and beautiful.
Oh yeah. So I'm looking through what our income is for the month on YouTube, and I just sort by the amount of money, highest to lowest. And in part 17 of the Lords of Shadow Let's Play is like up there, and it's something piddly like 20 cents, and I'm like, that's fucking weird. Of all the parts, I think that's the one where I'm just fucking losing my shit at the game because I've been left alone to deal with it. And I'm like, oh, I couldn't move it this way, but I can move it this way, but only with a supercharged punch when up until this point in the game, didn't even fucking move anything!
I think that might have been 16. I think we did 17 and 18 at a sitting.
I think 18 was just really long. But I don't know. Maybe you're right.
I know we did 2 sections that night. Because I remember thinking, I could leave now. We're not recording. I could escape.
Fucking breaks out window and runs. Yeah, Lords of Shadow is fucking horrible. Like, being a fan of that game, not just saying it's an okay game, which, that enough is enough to piss me off. I mean, it's not that I even love Castlevania. That's not why I'm this angry. There are tons of horrible Mega Man games. And being a fan of those doesn't make me want to punch you in the mouth. Lords of Shadow is just... How do I describe it? The worst thing to ever happen to an established franchise.
Lords of Shadow is an affront. It was uncalled for.
They were like, Konami, yeah.
Worst thing to happen to an established... Bomberman Zero.
Yeah, worse than
Bomberman Zero.
In Bomberman Zero, you still walk around and lay bombs. In
Castlevania, you still have a whip and whip skeletons.
Well, to be fair, if you weigh it out, you're listening to Zobek more than you're doing that.
You're also listening to Zobek while you're doing that. Brother, come help me with this thing. I'm fucking busy. Dude.
God, if the plot made sense at any end of it. Which, the amazing thing is Lords of Shadow, Mirror of Fate, and Lords of Shadow both have this problem where you just... While you're experiencing the plot, you're terrified that the person who wrote it thinks it's fucking brilliant.
Oh.
It is. There you go. They're fan fiction writers.
Yeah, I was
they
about
need
to say,
be punished.
I think I brought this up a lot. That whole game was written like fan fiction, and this is why I hate fan fiction authors. They're so self-assured of how good their bullshit is.
Like the amazing thing Lords of Shadow does, not Mirror of Fate, that has its own list of amazing things. It'll parade out a name with no meaning behind it. They'll just be like, this is, and then they'll say the name of an old Castlevania character, but it's nothing like that person, and that literally means nothing in the plot. They were like, yes, Bronner. Bronner was this general in the vampire army. And then you go see him, and he's like giant monster thing, and he doesn't really do much, but they decided to name that one Bronner, and the game took the time to let you know that that's Bronner. Meanwhile, Bronner in the original series was a Portrait of Ruins bad guy who was sophisticated, like, I paint with dark magic. Like, that's a character. Big monster that yells at you, and yeah, I one of the most detestable things a franchise can do is just throw out names and then have the thing be nothing like what it was before. I really hate that pattern, because what that's doing is preying on the nostalgia of the people consuming the product. And I don't doubt that there are countless people who are just like, oh, Bronner, fan service. That's not fan service to name this random creature this other thing. It's kind of like Frankenstein's creature. Do I have a Let's Play to show you, my friend? He screamed
I pray
for
you don't.
like 15 minutes straight. He was just yelling over how stupid it was. It's the thing from Wild Wild West.
What?
We're going to take a break. Okay, we spent a good, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. 3 hours. Talking about Lords of Shadow and how it is terrible, terrible fan fiction. I like how, like, the concept of Castlevania, like the original ones, like, ooh, monster movie creatures, and you just have to fight them all in a spooky castle that's Dracula's. Crazy. Which, in its own sense, kind of fan fiction-y, but the way it treats its characters is like, isn't this guy badass? Oh man, scary monsters. Meanwhile, Lords of Shadow's fan fickiness is nowhere near as genuine. Like, there's just something about it is disingenuous of being like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Castlevania was a celebration of universal monsters.
There we go.
Lords of Shadow was fan fiction.
Well, I mean, so you think that the story was better when it was more a celebration or homage to those things?
I think the story was better when it wasn't a story.
So
Yeah,
you think
well,
you feel like Symphony of the Night ruined Castlevania?
There are 3 stages, if you ask me. I mean, we could dissect the progression of, like, it doesn't have a story in the first one. The second one tries to construct a reason that Simon is fighting Dracula again, so it starts establishing a story. And then that story
The 2 is terrible, just correlation, not causation.
Yeah.
And then that sort of continues until Dracula X Chino Rondo. And then at that point, things take a turn where Symphony of the Night needs to, well, we can have voices, and now we need to develop a little bit more character of, like, why this is happening. But simultaneously, it is the Castlevania 2 to Chino Rondo. So you're playing as Alucard, but you can also play as Richter, or Richter, as Portrait of Ruin puts it. That typo is one of the best ever. But in any case, that and shinning armor from Castlevania Circle of the Moon. I'm like, yeah, I finally got the arena.
I don't know where you get hit by Medusa heads, all right?
So, you know, it's yet again one of those scenarios of like, we need to explain why Shaft is here again, and why Dracula is here again, and what's up with Richter, and I don't know, all these things to get these characters in here and make an engaging game with voice acting and all this other stuff. So here we go. Hopefully this works. And I honestly believe past that, the plots got a little bit better because each of them, except for Dawn of Sorrow, doesn't repeat that trick. And yeah, so you know, you get the those movie monsters are evil, ergo the castle is evil and manifests them because they're of Dracula's army. Like, that's okay. Once you get to the Lords of Shadow level of we need to write detailed explanation for why these creatures are here, and it's going to suck.
Well, I think a lot of the problem there is that you know, when you look at Symphony of the Night, it's just like they wrote the game and There's some cool shit in it. Look at this. Some of it's really stupid. Some of the bosses are broken. That game is broken in a balance of shit.
Right.
Fun as hell. But I think that's one of the problems with Lords of Shadow. You get like a couple hours in, and the game assumes that you are completely invested in how cool it is and how high quality everything is, and tries to ride that the rest of the way. And it just doesn't work.
Which it's an amazingly long game for an action game. It's 14 fucking hours.
Do you feel like that's like a pitfall of modern storytelling when they're trying to reboot things, is to make things make more sense? Or like when they're trying, like, well, there's connections everywhere we didn't see before, kind of like Man of Steel. Like they tried to make things coalesce better into just, yeah, it was a scientist, he sent his son to Earth. And now it's like, well, eugenics and things. Which is like applause for trying to make it, sense-making, but something's lost.
In the example that, just to quickly give my opinion so you can give a better one. Yep, your opinion's better on this. Because in case I haven't... I do not care about media that isn't video games, generally speaking.
I'm just trying to make connections to other bits of media.
But, yeah, speaking on that specific instance, the Superman one, I really think it's something I was talking to my friend associate, Jonathan, who apparently listens to this podcast, so he got to hear legitimate grape in everyone's reaction. Oh, dear. And he got to stroke himself while we all curled up and cried. It's that the writer, because of course we're talking about a Hollywood movie, isn't legitimately trying to make the audience think we're Americans. That's a pretty lost cause. They're trying to make the audience think they're thinking. Like, it's about eugenics. Isn't that deep? Oh, wait, deep, isn't it? And I think that's sort of no, that's not the same problem as Lords of Shadow. And I don't think a lot of video games
just written badly.
Oh yeah, okay. No, that's the baseline. Lords of Shadow is written badly.
It's just a base level constant,
like marvelously
it
badly.
It insists upon itself over and over. Oh my god.
Like, it consistently gives you out a questionnaire every so often. Like, is Lords of Shadow a great game or the greatest game?
It just, I think Lords of Shadow's writing has a lot of the same problems Microsoft, their PR department has. It thinks it has a lot more street cred than it does.
Yeah.
It thinks it has the right to do a lot of things that it hasn't earned yet.
Okay.
Like, some games can do ridiculous, stupid, over-the-top shit, like Bayonetta. But you just said the same thing twice. Stupid over-the-top shit in Bayonetta. Bayonetta earns how ridiculous it is every second of gameplay.
Yeah.
Lords of Shadow bought that shit on credit, and I still haven't gotten the check.
It's in the mail. Come on, man. But yeah, I don't know, because if you look at video games specifically, if we reel it back to that, with video games like the new Tomb Raider and other reboots, I don't think they're as consistently... I would dare to say they aren't anywhere near as troubled on a writing front as Lords of Shadow is. Like, they don't have the same symptoms. It's not from the same cause. It's not... We're going to toss out these names, and these characters mean something to you.
Lords of Shadow is a singular instance of bullshit. Now, the thing you were talking about earlier with the onset of explanation, detail, and realism, I think it's essentially in video games that's just a movement as we move away from abstraction as technology heightens, we get more into graphical fidelity.
Yeah.
That suspension of disbelief becomes a lot harder to maintain in these higher quality games, like Tomb Raider on the PlayStation 1. Like, you're walking by a cliff face and the rock blows out and a fucking lion jumps out. What?
Yeah, and I think Naughty Dog has done the best job this gen of overcoming that. Like, look at these high fidelity graphics. I guess we should set the tone for this in a way where we can get away with some stuff and not have people being like, that's fucking stupid. Because the three Uncharted games do a very good job of like, no, this isn't reality. You're playing an action movie. And then we give it a pass in our brains.
Yeah.
The Last of Us, of course, doesn't go for that tone, and for 99.9% repeating of the game, it does really well of consistently, like, delivering on all those things you expect, but then everybody has an aneurysm when you turn on your light and you didn't go to click it. Like your nipple just
Yeah,
flicked the switch.
it's that balance they had to hit between animation fidelity and response time.
And playability, yeah. Which, one of my favorite quotes from the development of The Last of Us, I tried to go back in my Twitter favorites to see it because it was so fucking amazing. The quote was, 8 kilobytes? We only have 8 kilobytes left in this whole level? I don't even know what 8 kilobytes could be in a PS3 game.
Right?
That's probably nothing.
The letter A.
Somewhere there's a brick that's just a polygon.
You like start circumnavigating around it and you're like, wait, that's just one flat side that's been textured to look like a real brick. This is a triangle floating in free space. It looks like this is really bad, guys.
I don't know. I just brought that up because it seemed like lots of rebooted things. It seemed like a modern sensibility to want to make more sense. Like before, we were more able to like just tolerate abstractions. Like make a Mario game nowadays without the established bit of Mario. Like, why is he where? How did he like? It's weird that for all like the established franchises we have now, there's no origin story for Mario. We just kind of understand he's in the Mushroom Kingdom. He's saving a princess. Deal with it. If we'd had that new, without all that like years of history now, it would be weird to us, I think.
Yeah, and I think every time you try to, like if you dig in your mind for why is Mario the Mushroom King, where did he come from, you come up with
Don't
that
get me
80s
wrong, I
movie.
think that game would be terrible and weird as shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want like 2 CDI MS Paint pictures of like Mario looking over a toilet and what? And then like his feet coming out of it and then you start the game like, well, there's my explanation.
Apparently, every podcast episode, we're going to come up with an origin story for Mario. Because you said earlier today, because I just got around to uploading the last podcast, you hadn't yet heard far enough into it. But at one point, we break down and talk about how, like, Gino's a mob boss chasing down Mario because of some debts. And he's so fucking desperate in that bathroom, he crawls into the toilet and it actually works. I still want to play that game. Yeah, I don't know. Like, a certain level with the Mario, because of the art style, with that, it gets away with it. But a lot of these PS1 series that started in that era anyways, when they get rebooted or get a sequel nowadays, we have to try really hard because those were the more mature games. We have to be like, okay, well, what's that for the jaded adult who's in their mid-20s? Which is kind of sad because then every time a game like Vanquish shows up, people are like, that's stupid. He's rocket skateboarding around and punching robots in the head like it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
You know, I found that there's a very interesting technique you can use, and we did this with DBZ a few years ago. We're like, why do you like DBZ? It's just like guys with huge muscles screaming and punching each other in the face.
Yeah.
No, okay, try this. It's guys with huge muscles screaming a lot and punching each other in the face.
It's all about tone.
It's a dude rocketing around on skates and shooting robots.
My mom was right. It's not what you say. It's how
How you
you
say it.
Yes, that's true. Which is exactly why Microsoft probably needs to replace every person who stepped in front of camera to date.
With our moms?
Yeah, yes. They might do
Buy an
as...
Xbox One. Yes, ma'am.
See? They'd probably do a slightly better job.
Why don't you call anymore?
What was it?
Keep making me buy inferior electronics.
I keep talking to Bob, like it's the first half of my off week here. I've had a conversation with him multiple times about this is something we've been chafing with since June. Every time Sony does something right, every time their product's designed to do things we actually want and things like that, everyone keeps saying that Microsoft has a PR problem. And it's like, no, sweetie, their PR problem is that you're the only people interested in the Xbox One at this point, and it's not for you. That's what their PR problem has been. They've designed this console around these TV and sports TV.
Like it's a family
every
console.
every single time the Wii U's a family console.
Well,
This
I
isn't
mean,
a
like,
weird
it's
trying to straddle
a
two
household
horses.
Experience is the lovely word.
The problem is they don't have enough games for that. It's really weird and
They
disappointing.
don't care. The
They
first announcement for Xbox, TV sports. TV sports.
Right, but what I'm saying is, that would be a really good direction for them to take this. And I wish they did take it into this squarely into the realm of this is for families. But the Kinect sports game isn't out till next year, and Fantasia Music Evolved isn't out until after that. And they don't really have any kiddie offerings. Their launch titles are Killer Instinct, which I don't know how I got away with getting my mom to buy me a game called Killer Instinct.
Right?
As a fucking robot with blades on it. As a kid, the cartridge isn't even normal. It's like straight black, like gunmetal black. And she's just like, whatever. Fuck it.
This seems family friendly.
and I don't think that's going to even be a thing now. Like, oh, yeah, sure, you could play this game where you're like...
And it's sort of like, speaking as a generation of kids who tricked our parents into buying us games that we really shouldn't have been playing. They were way too violent for us. They fucked with our brains. Not like twisted into psychopaths, but you know that feeling you got as a kid when you got to watch or play something that you knew you weren't allowed to? Like, oh man, look at all that blood. It was like cute back then.
Yeah.
The games that the TV is telling you not to let your kids play now, they're not fucking around. Don't let your kids play those goddamn games.
I saw this review from the HVGN. Happy Video Game Nerd. He's on RetroWareTV.com for those who are ignorant of his existence. And halfway through the review, I think it was a review for Splatterhouse on the PS3 and 360. Halfway through the review, or maybe it was the original. Yeah, it was the original, yeah. So, still 16-bit graphics sort of thing, maybe 8-bit. Not sure what the arcade hardware had in it. He's talking about how awesome it is, and halfway through, he just like, this isn't a game you should let your kids watch or play. Actually, if you're a kid and you're watching this video, you probably shouldn't be doing this. And I just sort of, I like looked at that happening, and I'm like, I completely disagree with that concept. Like, I just, that game, yeah, gives you nightmares, whatever. Like, as a kid, it was never stuff like that actually gave me nightmares and scared the crap out of me or made me, I don't know, say weird things or whatever it is parents are trying to avoid there. Mm-hmm. It was the weirdest things, like Mortal Kombat movie, fine. Mortal Kombat game, fine. Before they showed the Mortal Kombat movie, they played really, really loud music, and performance artists came out and flipped on stage and fought each other. That scared the shit out of me because he was fucking loud.
Yeah. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, I could see that. The Dip.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared of like the THX logo every time it came up on any single friggin'...
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
I was like, oh god, it's horrible. It sounded like the maw of God opening up to swallow the world.
And one of these days, it's going to be that, and we've been conditioned to not react.
And the amazing thing, I think, here is that these disparate things, for random reasons, well, from an observer's standpoint, an external perspective, scared us as kids. Yours is a bit more logical, obviously, than mine and Eric's. But trying to avoid that's kind of hard.
But plus, if your kid's
impossible.
on the internet, he's seen like 15 murder porns by now.
I'm not talking about like avoiding scaring kids. Scaring kids is good for them.
Right.
My favorite children's movies were the scary ones. It's just there's fantasy violence, not gore.
Right.
Fantasy violence will fuck you up.
I honestly believe most American comedy movies will fuck up a kid more than that. Because it took me most of my life to realize why I never found the movies that my parents and my brother liked funny at all. It's because 99% of American humor, for whatever reason, seems to be, let's laugh at this person for being different. Mm-hmm. And just, like, that never... Like, I never understood why they thought it was funny.
It's a friggin' American tradition.
Right. That's
like all we do.
That's
something
harmful
like we as a culture
personality.
shared in waves. See, white people got here and laughed at the Indians because they were different.
And then we made movies.
And then the other white people got here and we laughed at them because they were different white people.
And they wore buckles on their heads.
Then when the Eastern Europeans got here, we all laughed at those white people because they were different from any of the white people we'd seen yet. That's when things got dicey. That's when people with different skin colors started showing up. And we're like, we've already got brown people here. We're not even done killing them yet. Can you hold on a minute?
He's right. It's an American tradition,
Yeah.
which was the point of that. But yeah, I don't know. Like that always It always weirded me out growing up that my parents and my brother and other people I knew thought these things were hilarious. I mean, it took me all the way until Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I think that's the name of that movie. To realize that, yeah, that is the cornerstone of American humor. Look at how not normal this person is. Isn't that fucking funny? Like, just laugh derisively at how fucking weird that person is.
Well, it's comforting on some level. You get to be, emboldened in yourself and being part of the pack that is laughing at the other.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes you feel good, and you get to laugh, and it's almost like, if you think about it, it's a guilty pleasure. But if you don't, it's hilarious.
I don't know. Like, doesn't that involve turning off some part of you that either sympathizes or empathizes?
Yes.
Yes,
it does.
I really can't.
So does killing an antelope with your teeth. It's something you have to do now and then to survive.
What? No!
That's what we have to do on like a daily basis, and turn off some part of our brain that cares.
Antelopes aren't going to kill themselves, Dan.
Well, here's the thing, right? I mean,
Or this is how we're raised.
This is where the GigaBoots podcast is going to get fucking real. So stick with us.
I'm putting on my real pants right now.
When The Last of Us came out, a ton of people said that the main character, what's his name?
Joel.
I was like, Cole. No. Nail? No. What?
Nathan? No, that was early PS3.
That was early PS3.
Crash.
Joel. That was early PS1. Was a terrible person. He's a horrible, terrible person that no one should ever relate with, and it's unfortunate that we have a protagonist who's so completely unrelatable.
Are you sure they weren't talking about GTA 5?
I'm positive.
Okay. Oh, weird.
Yeah, so The Last of Us is a story about a bastard interfacing with other bastards, and these people are horrible. I've listened to many, many podcasts. Like, a large part of what I've been doing over the last year is trying to plug myself into the larger game community, because I'm not... And I'm about to insult some people out there. I'm not a fucking idiot who goes around clicking on reviews and then just checking the numbers and then getting angry. Bob.
Well, that lasted a while.
So it is a manual effort to reinsert myself into that community to figure out what the fuck they're saying. And yeah, a huge amount of them were just like, Joel's a bastard and completely unrelatable, and that game would be better if we had a protagonist we could really understand and side with and stand behind as he does these things. And to me...
Damn. I know where this is going.
Right. Every single thing Joel did in that is completely understandable as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
It is sympathizable. So... I just said it was okay to kill for the sake of continuing to have a daughter. I understand turning off the sympathy mechanic to continue your own happiness.
And even then, that's the beauty of video games, is they get you to play and experience situations that would make you uncomfortable.
See, that's the thing. No, apparently they don't. Because people will just outright refuse. Video games are supposed to be fun.
Oh, right, I forgot, because video games...
this is the larger problem with the discussion.
All media is only defined by a single attribute.
Yeah.
A very nebulous one at that.
A very, very nebulous one. So the easiest way to do it is we make a video game about shooting people with huge explosions where we make fun of people for being different. Best-selling game ever.
I don't... Well, yeah.
I think Infinity Ward may have done that already.
How many times?
I don't know. Treyarch did it half the time, didn't they?
Speaking of which, Titanfall. I got some pretty good footage of that.
Oh, yeah?
So, I've seen Titanfall.
Wow.
Also, okay.
Yeah.
Sports games.
Yeah.
Football games specifically is where I think this could happen. You know how this has been happening in baseball games too, where they keep expanding the scope of the game to include not only roster management, but I don't know, like training and
metagame stuff. Like
all that around. I love that because that's part of the sport. That's part of the tradition.
Right.
Expanding the scope of the game to include that is awesome. I think we need to go wider. I think we need to have an algorithm for fan appreciation.
Tailgates?
That could, yes. Like an algorithm to like, your team really sucked this week, fan riot. Or you weren't watching this player's behavior closely enough, how he's become antisocial, how he's showing up to practice, but he's not really trying his best.
This one committed a crime.
You didn't notice that his wife had left him, and just you neglect that aspect of the game long enough, he brings a gun out on the field.
Yeah.
And now you have this to deal with.
I completely side with that. I think we should take that approach to so many different things. I wish any of the Roller Coaster Tycoon games went that way.
Although I could say that I don't want my my tactics RPGs to just at a certain point my sword and board character just decides that I don't have enough badges to train him and turns on me. Like, you didn't complete my minigame.
Yeah.
God damn it.
The most terrifying thing is to, in the back of your mind, always like, what if my Pokemon just decided, I'm going to turn around and fire blast you in the face? See how crispy you are.
I mean, I think the larger direction for games that are enjoyable, ironically, is that where we have the Call of Duty game about a militiaman who does all these random PNC what's the term, contract jobs, and he gets to choose them. But then which ones he chooses and how he performs affects his ability to do the actual goal of the game, which is a dating sim, and he courts women. And if he was involved in what if they're political? And yeah, see, I think that's a brilliant way to take games, and I really hope more people do it. Unfortunately, that's not really going to happen on consoles. I honestly think the Stanley Parable not being a huge game is a good example of how the pre-existing publishers aren't doing their job right nowadays. Because it used to be you would come to them with a vertical slice and be like, I want to make a game out of this. And they'd be like, yeah, here's some money. Go do that. We're not going to give you that much money, so our risk is really low. The Stanley Parable was a mod. It was the proof of concept all the way around. It wasn't even a vertical slice. If publishers were really doing their job right, somebody would have come along and been like, hey, here's like our tools and things, and here's like, I don't know, $200,000. Go make that game. And they would have made a pretty sizable profit, actually. It sold pretty shortly after it came out, 100,000 copies. But yeah, no, for some reason that's going to be delegated straight to PC. Changing the topic slightly.
Okay, it's right in my wheelhouse.
A lot if you track topics by which part of your brain you're using to think about this sort of stuff. Very different topic. So I've said before in multiple episodes of the podcast that the Oculus Rift as a device has more appeal and in itself makes a stronger platform than the PS4 does. That's not to say the PS4 is a bad platform. It's that the mode of input and interface with Oculus Rift is so novel and so compelling that it is instantly a better platform to make out of it.
I'm getting Wii flashbacks. One second.
No, see, the difference here, this works. And that, I think every developer ever...
The Wiimote worked, just not the way we wished it did.
Not the way it was supposed to.
Our wishes, ironically, molded by direct Nintendo press releases.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And commercials.
Yeah.
And the games, really. You
I
go
can't
into
wait
a
till
bowling...
people stop saying 1-to-1.
And also, the Oculus Rift features 1-to-1.
Oh.
Now, the amazing thing is I've been watching a lot of Oculus Rift technical stuff because I want to learn as much about what can break that immersion as possible, because Unity actually has really good support for Oculus Rift. You can basically make a game in Unity, and if you install the Oculus Rift SDK and those elements, you can just drop that in.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's that...
Very nice.
Yeah. So in any case, I'm reading up on that, and one of the things they said at this game developers conference is they were like, so we've gone over some of the things that you may have done on accident to make someone nauseous. Let's go ahead and really quickly cover. Don't set the sensitivity of the movement on the head device to 2-to-1 ratio.
Oh my God.
Will completely fuck with them. They will probably instantly throw the headset off.
Yeah, which is like,
uncontrollably for 5 hours.
I want them to sell like a dog bed looking device for the desk, because 50% of the games that I want to own for that thing will cause me to just jerk and toss that bitch.
Another thing he was talking about is like you assume somebody's sitting or standing because the Oculus Rift opens up experiences that aren't necessarily considered games by today's standards. And listening to them talk about the Oculus is a lot like me talking about the Oculus in the way we both just get the Oculus Rift is a different experience. You stick a person who doesn't even play video games in it, and instantly they understand how to look around and interface with it.
We invented VR.
Right.
It's about goddamn time.
It's about goddamn time. So he was like, as an example, you could have some software that's a vacation home. And they just sit on the side of the beach. They're looking out of the horizon. There are waves and stuff and everything. And he's like, what you should not do
Is put zombies.
offset the horizon by 1 degree. Because they won't know what's wrong, but it will bug them.
Yeah, it'll be
immensely.
wrong.
And I'm like, oh, yes, all of this. I want to make a game. And
Vomit the game and just put all those ideas.
Yeah,
in
this could
single-
legally
It's a
be classified as a torture device with certain sets of software.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what I want to do is make a game, and I'm not going to
Geneva
say...
Convention to the Geneva-ing.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you said it to give off just
No, it's
black
Geneva
screen
2.0.
and then like 2 frames of like piercing white light, arrhythmically.
Oh, Jesus. I'm getting headaches right now.
Just like inside of 2 minutes, somewhere random.
God, what's wrong with me?
Right? Fuck.
Now, what really gets to be fun is putting a really high-quality camera in the corner of the room and having it film the person with the Oculus Rift on, and then feed back to themselves so they can look around. But that's not the weird part. The weird part is you very convincingly edited some terrifying creature right in front of them. That's moving around in 3D space around them, about to do horrible fucking things. And
We
you
have
can
that technology.
have them walk up to a wall and like scrape into it and make horrible sounds, which will be represented on the headphones pretty accurately in 3D space. And all these other horrible things. None of this is what I was talking about. So in any case, I'm interested in making this action game that's also horror, like the
Interested
tension.
in kidnapping some guy.
I'm interested in kidnapping some guy. The tension level of this action game is somewhere like. Have either of you played Tecmo's Deception? Well, in any case,
Tecmo's? Okay, no.
Tecmo's Deception, your control over your character is so limited. You're empowered through the traps, but people are so much stronger than you that it's terrifying. You can get really scared by them like leaping over a trap, and that was your last defense. So you just start running, and that plus an Oculus Rift plus the offsetting elements we were just talking about of setting off like. I would like a difficulty mode where all of those features are in it. And it gives you a warning. Like, all the other difficulty modes are just harder elements and the same game. But then it's like European Extreme mode. And it's like, when you get poisoned, shit is going to get weird.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of injuries when this comes out. Because its use for... like not AR but straight virtual reality shit,
Right.
where you're like I've seen people rig up walking pads and harnesses and shit to be able to move around.
People are
and
going to sell that shit. You know?
break everything. So it's going to be interesting to see if we have like a bunch of like in-home use things that have been tested and proven, or if maybe my heart sings we can have the return of both the arcade with different Oculus Rift rooms.
Yeah.
And also tangible physical danger during playtime.
Now, this is super relevant, and I didn't bring it up on any other podcast. Did you know cyber cafes are banned in Florida?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
That occurred very
Why?
shortly after the one around here closed. Because politicians don't know how to phrase things, and there was some money laundering scheme involving using internet cafes to use... It probably wasn't even money laundering. It was probably just that they were using internet cafes to gamble online, and that gambling money was not taxed by the state of Florida. So Florida, having had it up to here with that, banned internet cafes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is stupid ass bullshit. How do you even write that law? The wording of it would it'd have to be so vague as to ban the internet,
Right.
or so fucking specific as to be completely criminal.
Uh-huh.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Why do we live here?
Why do we live here? Oh, right, bath salts.
Bath salts. I'm gonna be straight with you guys. Bath salts are amazing.
They're amazing. Come on down to Florida where you can try out your very
They're
own bath salt.
effervescent and fragrant, and they shut down the cognitive portion of your brain for at least 3 minutes before heart failure.
Works great with the Oculus Rift.
You know how much salvia you have to ingest to do that? Jesus.
See, when other people make Florida jokes, it's kind of funny. When Florida people make Florida jokes, it's hilarious.
Because we've seen it.
Yeah.
lived it.
I will never forget someone, I knew a person in Michigan. They were like, you live in the American South. People marry their cousins. I'm like, that's not funny. That shit happens down here. Everything you see on TV isn't a joke, all right? It's not like Canada. That shit's real.
I have this very, very... I'm so livid about Duck Dynasty. Because, do you know anything about that?
I know of it.
Is this like Meerkat Manor?
No, Duck Dynasty is about this
So it's not about
Southern
ducks.
family. No.
Oh, man. I'm instantly less interested.
Louisiana, right?
Yeah. Who got fucking rich as shit off of their duck collars. And every episode is them being as Southern as humanly possible. As loudly as humanly possible. So you're crossing Southern hicks with way too much money.
So Beverly Hillbillies.
With keeping up with the Kardashians.
Oh, shit.
And I know people around here who like that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to phrase it. So I don't say anything when they tell me this. But it's just like, holy shit, why do you... Yeah, that's all. I can't.
You can't.
I can't.
You can't.
Because I fucking hate that show. It's like, guys, if you want that, go 40 miles north.
So the key to have you murder anyone in a blind fit of rage is like on one screen Duck Dynasty, on the other one Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and they're going, I love everything in this room.
It's easier than that. Put them between me and an Oculus Rift Death Kit. What's really funny, wow, I never got to the point I was going to go to earlier. Real quick anecdote, and then I'm getting to that finally. Somebody put up for sale the first Oculus Rift Dev Kit. Shortly after they announced they were going to have a second one. But the person insists, no, this is really, I just thought I'd get around to using it, and I don't have the time, so I'm going to sell this. And because of eBay's cut and shipping to where they are, which is not in the continental United States, the price went up over what he paid. So for those who don't know, the only way you got an Oculus Rift Dev Kit is that you were in that Kickstarter. So there's a large demand, very, very, very small supply. So people are like, they announced the second model, and here you are on the Oculus Rift forums trying to pawn off one of your first model dev kits to these people. You're a fucking dick. That guy's like, no, I'm not. Explain situations. And other people are like, still, looks shystery as fuck, dude. Come on. And he's like, I asked a mod if it was okay. And they're like, you're such a dick. And the guy's like, So last I checked, that hasn't sold.
I just want to make someone happy.
I just want me, glorious me. Okay, so as I just said with that, there's a second model dev kit that's going to hit before the final retail consumer model of the Oculus Rift, and this is going to have a 1080p display. For those who don't know, it's not two screens. The Oculus Rift is one screen bisected with custom lenses on it, so it's 1080p, one screen like that. And apparently at 1080p, the screen door effect, as they call it, which I find the name stupid, goes away, and you aren't as easily able to discern individual red, green, blue pixels and all that jazz. So it's much better, and they'll be able to get motion capture more fully one-to-one with the unit by integrating better components and things like that. So that was announced. The thing I was trying to get to, so Oculus Rift would make a better platform than the PS4. Guess what? Long-term goal, Carmack is already working on it. Android, fully integrated, fucking has its own marketplace, fully integrated Android Oculus Rift unit. I'm like, oh god, that's so fucking...
So you're telling me that there could be an actual storefront for
Oculus Rift experiences
that you could browse through like an actual fucking storefront.
Yes. and more importantly than that experience, which I love...
PlayStation Home are like, damn it!
Damn you, Sony!
Which I do love those sorts of experiences. Namco Museum, they haven't been the same since the PS1 because the PS1 one had a fucking museum. We walked around and looked at the exhibits, and I always thought that was the coolest thing. I love that sort of shit. That being the storefront for an Oculus Rift would be incredible.
You just walk around the place.
More importantly, as a developer, you know exactly what's in that hardware, so you can target it. It's not this intangible, like, I'm going to design this game in an Oculus Rift, which is already an intense thing, and then they have whatever for a PC. And tied in with this slight announcement on stage at NVIDIA's conference about G-Sync, Carmack also sort of said that Sony and Microsoft aren't interested. So Sony's going forward with, our R&D department could do it way better than you, John Carmack, and all the doctors and engineers you're working with at fucking Oculus Rift. We got this. We're a smart Japanese company. We're going to do this better.
Someone just said, we can do this tech thing better than you, John Carmack.
Like, I don't care how many watts your flood lamp has. You don't go, fuck you, son. I have got this shit.
I can sustain the life on Earth. Thank you.
I'm gonna kill me a vampire with this thing.
Fucking... It just sort of makes...
I'll give myself skin cancer, thank you very much.
Click, 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 click. It's just one of the few times in a while that Sony said something or acted in a way that made me go, wow, they are still straight up 1980 Sony still, aren't they? They fully believe they can beat every other American company, and if they can't, they'll just buy them. I'm guessing Oculus didn't want to get bought.
Someone somewhere deep in Sony is going, we should buy John Carmack.
We should buy John Carmack.
Now, see, here's the scary thing about buying John Carmack. Don't do it. Because, like, you think John Carmack is scary now out there in the universe with his god brain. You bind John Carmack and focus him with anger. John Carmack will hyperbeam his way through consumer electronics.
Oh, by the way, you know how before it was announced that his primary job was now at Oculus and his secondary part-time job was at id? That turned out to be some sort of political thing, and he's not so much at id anymore in any noteworthy capacity. So what I'm thinking is he was using some of the tech there to work on his Oculus Rift side project, and he wasn't putting enough time in on the next game or his idea for where technology is going. And I mean, he's right on the money here. He's explained it multiple times. Was probably pushing towards the Oculus Rift experience of, hey, this is sort of the future. Our next game should definitely be oriented around this because it'll be a novel experience. That'll motivate people to buy money who are currently sitting there being like, games are only just prettier now. And that was actually a large part of this talk that included the announcement of the second SDK, the Android unit, and the Sony thing. He was like, at an NVIDIA event, which that event was amazing. I have another anecdote that's fucking hilarious and concise to talk about when it comes to that event. But he fucking explains that, you know, if you keep jumping forward in GPU power, you can keep doing it for a while and things will look prettier and prettier. But effectively, for the sake of a video game, we're already at a good enough state. Like, continuing to do that with your video games, working in all these amazing technologies, it actually, you don't go that much further out before it is actually indistinguishable. And that's not to say this generation has it covered. It's more like next gen actually has it covered. Because I can tell you the one tech that would drastically make every video game look better that is going to be hard to do on the PS4 and impossible to do on the Xbox One. And that's actually, if you recall the Unreal Engine 4 tech, where they showed off the lighting, like a large part of that was everything is on-the-fly lighting. Look at how beautiful it is. These cinders. Well, they took that out of Unreal Engine 4 wholesale. Oh. Yeah. The reason why is it's too CPU intense, and both next-gen consoles kind of have weak CPUs. Sony actually has their own solution they're working on that will hopefully make it in a game in the next couple, maybe 3 years. So it will be that fully dynamic, like really beautiful lighting where it's not cheating with specific, like, okay, we'll pre-bake this and do that and cheat our way around this. No, everything will just look right because all the materials they're making, or all the games they're making now are made from real-life materials. Carmack talked about this back at QuakeCon, where they shine a light on, say, a brick, And they have this apparatus they stick a brick in, and it just gives numbers. It's like, it has this roughness and these qualities, and this is how it reacts with light. So now, when they make a brick in a video game, they're just like, okay, artist dudes, this margin here is where bricks are, which prevents all of those weird scenarios we've had.
You can't constrain my art. Okay, you're fired. Anybody else have any qualms about using math to do the art direction?
Anybody else have a fucking boner for slimy bricks here? Because fuck y'all.
Brick slime.
Get
Where's
right
that
at it.
Pokemon?
Where is that Pokemon? I'm kind of surprised that hasn't been a Pokemon yet. That seems
It's
too
a Dragon Quest monster.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay.
If you hit it with a sword, your system shuts down.
That's why you gotta use the boomerang.
Boomerang.
So, you remember a couple podcasts ago I was talking about, like, AMD did this crazy shit with Mantle. So, NVIDIA announced G-Sync. I'm not going to explain what that is here. That's too much.
Please don't.
Right.
I would be like,
Eric
yeah, that's
melts.
great.
That's amazing.
I just go to my happy place.
But what happened was that NVIDIA CEO, who was the guy at Sony's 2005 conference talking on stage talking about that woman they rendered in the PS3 that was so beautiful you could almost fall in love with her. Which we've been saying since because it's fucking hilarious. And she really wasn't, to be fair, but in any case, he's
Sounds
there
like
on
something
stage.
Molyneux would
They
say.
got Tim Sweeney from Epic, you know, the slightly lesser Godbrain there, who worked on all of the engine stuff
Demi
and
Godbrain.
stuff like that, and he's like CEO scale. They got John Carmack, and then they got the rendering engine, the rendering architecture engineer at DICE, you know, the DICE engine, Frostbite, there we go, Frostbite engine that powers all the EA games now. So they got these three Godbrains on stage at once to talk about this stuff, and two amusing anecdotes that came out of that. First one is the CEO goes, okay, sorry guys, sorry, I know we're in the middle of the meeting. I just found out I have to get on a plane. I have a meeting I have to make it to. Thank all three of you so much for showing up and doing this round table. This is great. I'm just amazed we could even get you guys in one room. So thank you. And he leaves. They were in the middle of the Q&A section. 7 minutes later, this person in the audience goes, so Jensen's gone, right? And everyone starts laughing, and he's like, what do you guys think about Mantle? And then everyone just stares awkwardly, and then Carmack starts, and he's like, wow, the amazing thing about Mantle. And then he explains the situation of, like, NVIDIA makes their own. That would be a terrible situation, because then there are 5 APIs, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone gives their own opinions. Reppy's positive, Tim Sweeney not so much, Carmack not so much. And then somebody goes, would you rather have G-Sync or Mantle? And all three of them, G-Sync. It's just like G-Sync solves a problem we've had this whole time with PCs. But yeah, it was just really funny that they were like, the CEO of this company we're doing a fucking press conference is gone, right? What do you think of competitor? The fucking guy who actually works at NVIDIA, who's on stage, is just laughing so hard, and he doesn't even... He gives this innocent aside look to them of like, I don't know what you're supposed to do. Am I in control anymore?
They're just like, wait, let me check my paycheck. Yeah, still here. Okay, let's talk.
Am I in control here? Is John Carmack at that table? No.
I know, he's sort of
There
like,
is no God here.
do I
Holy
tell John
Carmack.
Carmack to shut up? Well, I tried shutting up before, and it wasn't so great, because then stupid people got to talk.
You know, one day we're just going to get a restraining order from John Carmack.
Oh, man.
Like, John Carmack, it's not creepy. We just want to worship you platonically.
Ignore the effigy in the corner of the room.
Like, you hand him a picture. Can you write machine code on this?
No.
You hand him a pen. Cobalt. Cute.
So there you go. I'm all out of NVIDIA G-Sync anecdotes. Just know that G-Sync is absolutely amazing, and if you can't figure out why, then you probably don't understand.
It didn't seem that complicated.
It honestly is. People don't understand. Admittedly, I
I'm
did
people.
I did
I
send
barely
you the
know
script
anything.
for the Rant Is Go.
I read that longer article you linked first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, people still don't understand that there's a drastic difference between having a game that runs at 50 frames per second and then having a game where the monitor updates every time a frame's done, so it's evenly 50 updates in the second. I don't know why. I have a script for the rant as go. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still sitting on that, staring at it. I'm like, this is done a fairly good job of explaining this. Is there a point? Because I wrote it while sauced. I was like, ha-da-da-da-da-da, and then later I was like, oh, wow, this is way better
a few
than...
things drunk. Eric, I have some fan fiction to send you.
We're going to take a super short break. Tragic thing of like I get so much flack for us not coming out with reviews, and I'm like, we don't come out with reviews regularly because I have a standard I'm trying to improve upon. Not like I could do 7 more reviews in the exact same style as Bunny Must Die, and then I would shoot myself.
Okay, I want you to have an open mind here. Dan.
Yeah. Okay.
You should shoot yourself.
This is. I haven't always been the most selfless person in the world, but I want you to think, just big picture, how much money we would get from traffic flow on the website if you did 7 reviews in a month and then shot yourself.
Is it enough?
We could sell that shit on a DVD as your swift decline into insanity and suicide.
Yeah, and that sounds pretty beautiful.
It'll be like Gloomy Sunday, but like fucking 7 hours long.
If you're gonna go out, I mean, go out with the Bunny Must Die review and a bang.
Yeah.
In that order.
In that order.
The really horrible part is when they figure out that I killed him because I couldn't resist making a bunch of really, really obscure literary references like peppered around his suicide scene. I'm like, damn it, you cops are well read.
Damn you, college cop.
What the fuck's your deal?
I went to cop college.
The phrase "what the fuck's your deal"? I love that. Like that's such a fuck you, fuck your lifestyle. What are you even doing?
Why are you even?
Why are you even? Okay. Sort of. Last thing, I think this is really awesome because it's the first hard evidence detail usage case of this tech being used. When they built the PS4, they designed in it processors that compress and decompress all the data going to and from the hard drive. Now, there are a few things that they can do that are really neat that this gen, you know how we have installs when we insert the disc?
Right.
No, we're not doing that anymore. They have caching built straight in where it'll read off the Blu-ray, load into the hard drive, and build up a large cache, which can then be used to play the game. So Killzone has come out saying they made full advantage of this, and they actually harangued their legal department into getting all of those logos you're used to seeing at the beginning of the games. Like, you know, we leave the Havoc logo up there for 5 seconds, and then another logo. Gone.
So they could fully
So the game's just
game.
Yeah.
Shit. Yeah.
PS4 out November 15th.
I have been so
Discs finally caught up with cartridge technology.
Recently, I've been so pissed off about that. It was just like logo, loading. Why are you loading after the logo's popped up? Checking for online. Stop checking for online content before you let me play the fucking game. I recently, my mother had a problem with playing Blu-rays on the PlayStation 3. And she's like, they're only the ones from Universal. I'm like, oh, okay, that's really weird. So I start Googling around and, oh my God, I'm used to like PCs and video game people like listing problems where they'll actually list their hardware, the specific problem, they'll describe it properly. Oh my God, people who watch movies is too broad of a pool. These people can't describe their tech problems for shit. So I finally, I tried a couple things and I found one that worked. You know, because it would load up the Blu-ray, it would play the Universal logo, then it would black screen. I turned the internet off. I turned off the internet connection and it worked.
Yep.
Apparently, this Blu-ray was trying to download BD Live content, which is basically just fucking ad space. It was trying to download their ad nonsense, but couldn't, so it wouldn't play the movie she goddamn paid for.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Blu-ray Live is one of the worst things to happen to the Blu-ray. It's fucking horrible. And I wish that was the only case I heard of.
This is what they warned us about capitalism.
Yes.
Fuck.
We need to dig up George Orwell and like put him on a pole or something and start completely missing the point of his entire body of work and use him as a symbol for whatever bullshit we're about to start preaching.
Yes.
That sounds splendid.
Fund our Kickstarter.
By the way, just to be super ironic, we should also dig up Hemingway so he can watch us do this.
I wish we could start a series that was just about this.
Digging up corpses.
Yeah.
They have that. It's called Supernatural.
Oh dear.
I'm turning this off.